She didn't just raise her voice, the cashier slapped the old woman across the face. And no one moved. No one. Except Zuri. Zuri was the newest sales assistant at Galaxy Mart, a massive shopping mall in Port Harcourt. Just 22 years old. Just 3 weeks into the job, just another uniform with a name tag. And yet, that moment when a frail old woman forgot her purse would flip her entire world upside down. The old woman had picked up just one small bottle of cooking oil, but at the counter when asked for money her face fell. "I must have left my purse," she said, trembling. The cashier snapped her gum, rolled her eyes and shouted, "Then get out. This is not a beggar's market." People in line snickered. The old woman begged softly, "Please, I need to cook." Slap. The cashier's hand flew. The bottle rolled off the counter, and in that deafening silence, Zuri stepped forward. She marched to the counter, face trembling with controlled anger. "Remove the cost from my salary," Zuri said. "What?" The cashier scoffed. "I said give her the oil. Deduct it from my pay." The old woman turned slowly. Her eyes were wet. Her lips parted, but no words came. Zuri bagged the oil herself and handed it over gently. "Get home safe, Ma," she said with a small bow. The old woman stared at her for a long time. "What's your name?" she asked. "Zuri." "That's a beautiful name," the old woman said. "I'm Mrs. Amani Adesua." And with that, she left smiling. If you love gripping and emotional stories that keep you hooked, don't forget to hit like and subscribe my channel, Africa FolkStory. Join our journey for more mind-bending tales every day. Zuri turned back to her shelf, not knowing she'd just handed oil to the mother of Africa's most private billionaire, and he had already started watching her. Miss Amani walked into the massive glass mansion in Ikoyi, oil bottle still in hand. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with something her son hadn't seen in years. "Mum?" Leandro Adesua, 30, looked up from his laptop. "What happened?" She sat beside him and placed the oil bottle on the glass table. "I was humiliated," she said simply. "Where?" "At Galaxy Mart. Your company just bought 30% of it, didn't it?" Leandro sat up straighter. "They called me a beggar. A cashier slapped me in front of everyone." "What?" "But wait. There was a girl." Leandro paused. "A girl? She didn't know who I was. She didn't ask questions. She just stepped in and paid for the oil from her own salary." "What's her name?" he asked. "Zuri." Amani said. Short hair, slim build, deep-set eyes. She looked like life had dealt her a few bad cards. Leandro stood up. "She helped you. Just like that?" "Yes. And when I tried to thank her, she smiled and said, 'It's nothing.' But it wasn't nothing to Amani, and it wasn't nothing to Leandro either. Because the girl who helped his mother without knowing her identity, that girl had just triggered something in him." "I want to meet her," Amani whispered. "You will," Leandro said. "But first," he added, picking up his phone, "I need to deal with the person who thought they could slap my mother." He didn't raise his voice, but inside his head, a plan had begun. Leandro's call wasn't to HR. It was to someone much more precise. "Ayo," he said into the phone. "I need a quiet investigation." Ayo was his former military guard, now his eyes and ears in the city. "I need everything on a girl named Zuri. Works at Galaxy Mart. Helped my mom." "Say no more," Ayo replied. The next morning, Ayo staked out the mall. He didn't wear a suit. He wore dust and shadows. He watched Zuri welcome customers with a tired smile. He watched her carry a baby for a young mother. He watched her tie a boy's torn shoelace. And later, he followed her discreetly. She walked through dusty streets, entered a weathered compound, and disappeared into a rusted back room, no bigger than a closet. The next 2 days followed the same pattern. Kindness, silence, loneliness. Zuri worked like someone who owed the world everything. No complaints, no friend, no drama, just resilience. Ayo returned to Leandro's mansion and placed a small file on his boss's desk. Leandro opened it. Orphan, dropped out of university, lost both parents in a fire, lives alone, no criminal record, works 6 days a week. He read it twice. "She smiles every day," Ayo said, "but I don't think I've ever seen eyes that sad." Leandro sat back, tapping the paper. "She helped my mother with nothing to gain," he whispered. Then he said something Ayo didn't expect. "I want to see her smile for real this time." The sun was setting when Zuri walked home. Her feet sore from standing all day. Her body ached. Her thoughts spun. Then she heard it. A car horn. Deep. Clean. Too clean for her neighborhood. She turned. A black SUV had pulled up beside her, the windows tinted, the engine silent now. The back window slid down. Inside sat a familiar face. "Zuri," the woman said. Zuri blinked. You're the woman from the store." "Yes." Mrs. Amani smiled. "I've been looking for you." She stepped out of the car, a gold scarf on her shoulders, diamonds in her ears, but her eyes were still soft. "I'd like to talk to you," she said. Zuri stepped back slightly. "Don't be scared," Amani added. "Just a short drive. I want to say thank you." Zuri looked around. The street was empty. Her gut told her to run, but her heart remembered that broken look on Amani's face when no one helped her. So Zuri nodded. She got in the car. The ride was silent but smooth, until they stopped in front of a mansion with glass walls and a water fountain that whispered money. Zuri stared at it, unsure if she should get out. But Amani smiled again. "Come, my dear, you have nothing to fear." Zuri stepped out, unaware that her entire fate had just shifted gears. She was walking into a house that had never welcomed someone like her before, and someone was already watching her from behind the curtain. Zuri followed Mrs. Amani through a hallway so spotless it felt like walking through glass. Everything smelled like roses and power. The living room was a gallery wide, white and filled with silence. "Sit, my dear," Imani said warmly, gesturing to a velvet sofa. Zuri sat slowly, holding her breath. "I owe you an explanation," Imani said, settling beside her. "That day at the store, I wasn't just another customer." Zuri listened carefully. "I forgot my debit card. The staff insulted me. The crowd watched." She paused. "But you stepped forward, with nothing. For a stranger." Zuri smiled lightly. "It was just one bottle of oil, Ma." Imani shook her head. "It was dignity. You gave me back mine." She stood, walked to a nearby drawer and returned with a small box and a brown envelope. Zuri blinked as she opened them. Inside, a thick bundle of Naira notes and a gold bracelet and necklace set. "These were mine," Imani said, "and this is for you. A small thank you." Zuri's eyes welled, but she pushed the items back. "I can't accept this, Ma. I didn't help you because I wanted anything." Imani was stunned. "Are you sure?" Zuri nodded. "I know what it feels like to have nothing." The silence was deep. Then, a door creaked open behind them. Imani turned with a smile. "Ah, Leandro," she said. "Come meet the girl I told you about." Zuri turned, and her breath caught. It was him, the CEO, the face from news clips, the man behind Galaxy Mart. Leandro walked slowly toward her. "You're the one who helped my mom?" he asked. Zuri stood, nervous. "Yes, sir." He looked at her for a long second, then said, "I watched you just now. Why'd you refuse the money?" And Zuri answered without flinching, "Because kindness isn't for sale." Leandro smiled slightly, but inside, something else had started to stir. Leandro leaned forward. "In that case," he said slowly, "I'd like to offer you a job." Zuri's eyes widened. "A job?" "Yes," he said, "as my personal assistant." Zuri's hands trembled. "Sir, I didn't finish school." "That's okay," Leandro replied. "You'll get full training, and I'll enroll you in an online university at my expense." Zuri went still. He was serious, but her voice shook as she said, "Why would you do that for me?" Leandro's reply was quiet. "Because you gave my mother respect when no one else did." Imani smiled softly, watching Zuri battle with disbelief. But then Zuri took a deep breath. "Thank you, sir, but I don't want charity. I believe in earning things." "You will," Leandro said. "This isn't a handout. It's a beginning." She hesitated, then finally nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." Leandro reached for his phone. "I'll have HR send you the offer letter by morning." And then something strange happened. Zuri laughed. A soft, uncertain laugh. "This morning I was folding shirts. Now I'm sitting here talking to a billion." Leandro chuckled. "Life moves fast when you carry a good heart." Zuri looked at him and whispered, "Thank you, sir." And as she stood to leave, he said, "Call me Leandro, not sir." Zuri smiled. But as she left the house, someone else was already waiting to block her path. A young woman in designer heels stood by the gate. She smirked. "So you're the new charity project?" Zuri froze. "Stay in your lane, sales girl." The woman sneered. Zuri didn't reply, but inside her chest tightened. She didn't know who that woman was, not yet, but she was about to find out. And the war had already begun. Her name was Darra. She was the daughter of one of Leandro's business partners, and she had a plan. Darra had been chasing Leandro for months. dinner parties, foundation galas, sponsored interviews. But now, some dusty mall girl had walked into the picture, not on her watch. That night, Darra stormed into Leandro's mansion. "You didn't tell me you were hiring a new assistant," she said, pacing the living room. Leandro sipped his drink, unmoved. "I don't owe you updates, Darra. She's not qualified. She's not from our world. She's kind," Leandro said, "and smart." Darra scoffed. "You're falling for her." Leandro looked away. "No," he said quietly, but even he didn't believe it. Meanwhile, Zuri began work at the main corporate office the next week. She wore a borrowed blazer. She walked in quietly. She greeted everyone. Some smiled back, most didn't. But she kept working, filing, organizing, memorizing schedules. By day 3 she was flawless. Darra noticed, so she struck. She invited Zuri for lunch in the company cafe. Zuri hesitated, but agreed. They sat, talked, laughed, falsely, and then Darra dropped her phone into Zuri's bag while pretending to hug her goodbye. 10 minutes later, security came running. "Where's my phone?" Darra shouted. Zuri was confused. They searched her bag, and there it was, right on top. Zuri's eyes filled with panic. "I didn't," but Darra had already started crying. "I trusted you." Zuri looked around. Everyone was watching, and Leandro had just walked in. Leandro stood frozen. Darra sobbed loudly. "She stole my phone." Zuri's voice shook. "I didn't, I swear. I don't even own a phone like that." Leandro looked between them. Security held the phone up, found in Zuri's bag. It didn't look good. "I'm sorry," Leandro said quietly. "You're suspended until further notice." Zuri's heart broke. She opened her mouth to argue, but nothing came out. She simply nodded, picked up her file and walked out slowly. No tears, just silence. But just as she reached the exit, "Wait!" someone shouted. Everyone turned. Miss Imani stood there, holding CCTV footage in her hand. "I asked for this from the cafe manager," she said. She walked over and plugged in a flash drive to the office projector. Everyone watched. The footage played. It showed Darra slipping her phone into Zuri's bag while hugging her. A dead silence filled the room. Zuri looked down, her fists clenched. Darra's face turned pale. Imani turned to her son. "Still think your assistant is the thief?" Leandro's jaw was tight. "No," he said slowly. Then he looked at Zuri. "I'm sorry," but Zuri didn't respond. She just turned and walked out of the room. And this time she did cry. Zuri disappeared. No resignation letter. No calls. No social media. Just gone. Leandro sat alone in his glass office, watching the city stretch out beyond the skyline. But his mind was with a girl who walked out with tears in her eyes, and her dignity intact. "I ruined everything," he muttered to himself. He called HR. "Any word from Zuri?" "None, sir." He called his driver, his housekeeper, even the maid who used to serve her tea. Nothing. She had cut herself out of the picture completely. Meanwhile, Zuri was back in the tiny room she called home. The ceiling still leaked. The fan still clicked like it was dying. But she didn't cry anymore. She was empty. She still attended her online classes every night, still submitted every assignment, but the spark that once danced in her eyes had gone dark. She turned down all calls from Mrs. Armani. Didn't even open the envelope HR sent her, something about compensation and apology. She wanted no part of that world anymore. But Leandro couldn't stop. He began searching harder. One night he drove himself to her neighborhood. He asked questions. Gave no name. Slender girl, short hair, kind smile. One woman finally nodded. She stays at the back room. Doesn't come out much. He stared at the gate for 5 full minutes. But he didn't knock. He drove off, because the truth was, he wasn't sure she'd even want to see him. 3 days later, a letter slid under Zuri's door. No name. No stamp. Just one sentence handwritten on the envelope. "Please open it." Just once. Zuri hesitated, then opened it. Inside, a note. From Mrs. Armani. "My dear Zuri, I understand why you walked away, but please don't let one bad woman steal your light. I know what you did that day. I saw the courage. I saw the girl I'd be proud to call daughter. We're not giving up on you, and neither should you. Imani." Zuri sat still, then tears again. Not because she was hurt, but because someone still believed in her. Later that night she opened her laptop. checked her student portal, assignments piling up. She clicked through them silently word by word, and then did something she hadn't done in days. She smiled. Not a full one, just enough to remind herself that maybe she wasn't finished yet. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Leandro sat beside his mother. He hadn't spoken for hours. "She won't come back," he said finally. "She will," Imani replied. "Not for you. For herself." He looked up. "I just want a chance to fix it." Imani smiled. "Then give her space. But don't stop believing." Suddenly Leandro stood. "I have one idea left," he said. He picked up his phone and made a call. "I need a favor. From the university." The next morning, Zuri received an email from the online university. She almost ignored it, until she read the subject line, "Urgent. Your student status has been updated." She clicked and froze. "You've been awarded a full academic scholarship, effective immediately. Your fees are now covered for the entire program. Books, data allowance, and tutoring access included. Signed, Adisua Education Trust." Her hands trembled. She knew that name. She didn't need to ask who did it. Leandro. She stared at the screen, conflicted. She hadn't spoken to him since the scandal. But this was not a handout. This was hope, wrapped in silence. She grabbed her phone, typed a message, then deleted it. Typed again. Deleted. Finally she wrote just one line. "Thank you. I'm not ready to talk. But thank you." She hit send. On the other side of town, Leandro received it while in a board meeting. He smiled softly. Didn't reply. Didn't need to. Because for the first time since she left, he knew she was okay. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon. Zuri was washing her clothes outside in a red plastic basin when she heard footsteps. She turned. Mrs. Armani, wearing sneakers, sunglasses and a sun hat, like she was trying not to draw attention. Zuri wiped her hands quickly. "Ma, how did you?" Imani smiled. "I called your landlady." Zuri chuckled nervously. "You didn't have to come here." "I wanted to." Imani sat on the low stool beside her. She looked around the compound, the cracked walls, the hanging wires, then back at Zuri. "My son is many things." But he's not perfect." Zuri said nothing. He judged too quickly. "But you handled it with grace. I've never seen." Zuri's eyes lowered. "I was angry," she admitted. "You had every right." Imani pulled a small envelope from her purse. Zuri shook her head. Instantly. "No more gifts, please. It's not money." Imani smiled. "It's a letter. From him." Zuri hesitated. Took it. Imani stood. "I'll leave you to read it. But whatever you choose, just know, you're always welcome in our lives." She walked off. Zuri stared at the sealed letter in her hand. Should she open it? Should she forgive him? Should she go back? She didn't know. But something in her chest whispered, this story isn't over yet. Zuri sat alone on her thin mattress. The room was hot. The fan still didn't work. She held the envelope in both hands like it might shatter. Then she opened it. "Zuri, I made the worst mistake of my career the day I doubted you. I looked at a situation instead of looking at your heart. I saw the evidence, not your truth. You walked away quietly like you always do, with strength I don't have. And somehow I respect you even more because of it. Please don't think I'm trying to buy your forgiveness. I just want to say, I see you now. Not the assistant, not the girl from the store, but you. Zuri, I hope one day we can talk again, if not in an office, then as people. Leandro." Zuri didn't cry. She folded the letter gently and placed it in her Bible. That night she studied longer than usual, rewrote her goals, and by midnight she typed a short email. "I've thought about everything. If the offer is still open, I'd like to return. But I want to earn it this time all over again. Zuri." The next morning Leandro read it in his office. He stood up quietly, looked out the window. For the first time in weeks, he exhaled. Zuri walked into the glass tower of Adisua Corp at exactly 8:00 a.m. New hair, new blouse. Same calm eyes. Whispers followed her like shadows. "She's back. How did she survive that? She's braver than I thought." She didn't flinch. She headed straight for her old desk. Sat down. Opened her planner like nothing had happened. Then Leandro stepped out of his office. Everyone turned. He looked at her. Their eyes met. And for a few seconds, time stopped. He nodded once. Zuri nodded back. No words, just understanding. Later, during a team meeting, the HR director cleared his throat. Before we proceed, we'd like to apologize publicly for the incident involving Miss Zuri. Everyone froze. The HR rep continued. It was a failure of protocol, of trust, and we are working on accountability internally. Darra, seated in the corner, looked like she wanted to vanish. After the meeting, Zuri walked past her. No words, just a quiet, composed stride that said, "You didn't break me." That afternoon, Zuri returned to her schedule like she never left. But what no one knew was, Leandro had something else planned, and it was no longer about business. By 7:30 p.m., the office was mostly empty. Zuri was still at her desk, sorting logistics for Monday's board meeting. She didn't hear him come in. "Zuri," Leandro said softly. She turned. He wasn't in a suit. Just jeans and a navy shirt, relaxed, but nervous. "I'm not here as your boss," he said. "I came as Leandro." Zuri stood. "Okay. I've watched you," he said, "since the day we met. How you work, how you think, how you forgive. You didn't just impress me, you taught me." Zuri blinked. "I'm not asking for anything today," he said. "I just need you to know I care. A lot." Zuri looked away. "I never wanted to fall for anyone," she said quietly. "Especially not in this building." Leandro smiled gently. "Me neither." He stepped closer. "But if there's even a small chance, I'd like to take you out. One dinner, no pressure." Zuri laughed softly. "Just one." "We'll start there," he said. A pause. Then she whispered, "Okay." And just like that, everything changed. From across the glass balcony on the 5th floor, Darra watched them. She saw Zuri laugh, saw Leandro lean in, saw her rival winning a battle she thought she'd already won. Her jaw clenched. Not again. She stormed back to her desk and made a call. "Yes, it's me," she said coldly. "I need that thing we discussed." Now, the voice on the line responded. "You sure you want to go through with this?" Darra's eyes narrowed. She took everything. "I'm not letting her walk away with him too." Zuri, meanwhile, had no idea what was coming. She went home that night, heart warm, eyes soft. She placed Leandro's letter under her pillow, and for the first time in years, she slept without dreaming of pain. But as morning came, so did the storm. It hit the office like a bomb. A leaked document, photos, screenshots, claims, a social media thread accusing Zuri of sleeping her way to the top, anonymous account, dozens of shares, and a blurry image of her walking out of Leandro's car. The caption read, "This is how you become CEO's favorite." By 10 a.m., Zuri's name was trending. The office was quiet. HR panicked. PR scrambled. Zuri sat at her desk frozen. Her phone buzzed non-stop, text after text. "Is it true? Thought you were better." So disappointing. Then, Leandro entered the floor. His face was stone. He walked straight to Zuri. "Come with me," he said. In the boardroom he closed the door. Zuri was shaking. I didn't do any of this," she whispered. Leandro nodded. "I know, and I'm going to fix it. But the media, let them burn." She looked at him. "Why are you still standing by me?" He didn't blink. "Because I know your heart, and because the truth doesn't scare me." That afternoon, Leandro called for a press conference. Media outlets packed the room. Cameras, reporters, flashing lights. Zuri stood in the shadows, unsure of what would happen next. Leandro walked to the podium. "There's been a lot said about one of my employees," he began. "Rumors, lies, and deliberate character assassination." He paused. "Let me be clear. Zuri is not just an employee. She is a person of integrity." Gasps in the room. "And we've traced the leak, the fake screenshots, the manipulated content." He turned to the projector screen. A document popped up. "IT forensics. Timestamp data. Source IP. Darra Ajayi," he said calmly. "You've been terminated effective immediately, and your father's contract with this company is now under review." Darra, seated at the back, stood up. "You can't do this." Leandro's voice was calm but final. "I just did." Zuri's eyes filled. He didn't just protect her. He fought for her, and he wasn't done. After the press conference, Zuri waited for him in his office. When he arrived, she stood. "I don't even know what to say," she whispered. Leandro chuckled. "Then don't say anything." Just be here. She walked toward him, paused, then reached into her bag and pulled out the letter he once wrote. I kept this, she said, even when I didn't want to believe you. He took it in his hands gently. I meant every word, he said. I know, she replied. Zuri stepped closer. I fought so hard to build my life without needing anyone. But you never made me feel small. You never made me feel owned. You made me feel seen. Leandro's voice dropped. Zuri. She took his hand. I love you, she said. Fine. He smiled. Wide. Deep. Real. I've been waiting to hear that since the first day you yelled at that cashier. They laughed and kissed. Not out of fairy tale, but out of survival, respect, and choice. The chapel was simple. Nothing flashy, just white roses, soft music, and joy in the air. Zuri walked slowly down the aisle, not in a designer dress, but in the same cream color her mother once wore in a faded photo. Every eye turned, not because she was rich, but because she had fought her way here. Leandro stood at the altar, calm and smiling. Mrs. Imani wiped her eyes silently. Zuri reached the altar and took his hand. The officiant smiled. Before we begin, he said, the bride has written a message. Zuri unfolded a note and read aloud. I was once just a girl behind a counter, with dreams locked away in pain. Today I'm not just a wife. I'm a woman who chose to keep going, and I'm marrying a man who saw me, even when I disappeared. Tears rolled. The vows were short. The kiss was real. And the applause? Endless. Later that night, Leandro held her hand as they watched the stars from their balcony. Are you happy? He asked. Zuri smiled. No, she said. I'm free. If you love gripping and emotional stories that keep you hooked, don't forget to hit like and subscribe my channel, Africa FolkStory. Join our journey for more mind-bending tales every day.